have been involved in not just this talk, you're going to be part of the further 2 more talks in this space, I guess. And you have been also actively talking as a run-up event also before this event on specifically that is concerned to infrastructure, and that is, to be precise, AI infrastructure. And I hear that the governments of India are heavily pushing for data centers in the country, competing with the neighboring countries or the Western countries, and trying to bring as much AI technology as possible. So in this context, we want to understand how this infrastructure, as that the governments are promising and bringing it here, how is it going to shape our lives, like as engineering students or civil society people and concerned citizens. So I want to take a first input from you.
Thank you. Am I audible properly? Hope so. Yeah. 2 days back, I was browsing internet and I found one interesting article. This article talks about Jeff Bezos' opinion on data centers. And Jeff Bezos is a person who runs one of the largest data centers across the globe. And his opinion is this: he wants all the data centers to move away from Earth and they should be put in moon. The question is why? He says that should be done because all the data centers that are being put on Earth here, or wherever they are being put right now, these are coming at an extraordinary environmental cost. This is not an opinion of an activist. This is not of an opinion of a person who wants to work against technology, whatever. This is a person who runs the largest data centers that there are here. Now, it is those kinds of data centers that are going to be coming to India, or rather they're already here in Pune and other places. They're coming in a very big way. And the same data centers were moved away from countries like US, say places like Ireland. And the reasons why they were moved away from such places is primarily the environmental reasons and also the prices of not just the land, but also the prices of electricity and other resources, the most important natural resources that are there, which are daily accessible to people. Once those have started becoming pricey, that is when people started protesting against that, and they moved data centers away from their localities. And whenever they choose a location where should such data centers be put, unfortunately, those locations were always at those places where the marginalized communities are present. Now, going a little more deeper into that, when we talk about data centers primarily, the resources that goes into these data centers primarily are starting from the chips, then to your land, and then it comes to your electricity, and then your water. Primarily these things. There are other parts on labor and all, which my fellow panelists will be talking about. But primarily when we are talking about the manufacturing of chips, these chips are primarily made by elements like your cobalt, your quartz, silicon-based devices. When we are looking at cobalt, just the cobalt, where your maximum amount of element that is consumed in production of these chips, cobalt, 70% of cobalt in the world is produced by one country, Congo. And when you browse internet, you all would easily know what is Congo popular for. Congo is popular for your child labor, where more than 4 lakhs kids who should be in schools or exploring something more, not just fun, knowledgeful, they are being put into cobalt mining at the risk of their health, at the risk of everything that there is. And that's the first basis on which this infrastructure of chips is made. Then coming to your electricity. There are billions of dollars that are being put at the same time when we are having a data center at a nearby location. But these hyperscale data centers consume electricity at a scale of 1 gigawatt. Just to give you a scope of, or rather a comparison of what 1 gigawatt is, your Warangal or your Karimnagar consumes around 800 megawatts every day. And we are talking about more than Warangal or more than Karimnagar. That's one data center put in a land of around 10 acres. Imagine a 10 acres of land consumes more energy than a whole of tier 2 town of a growing India. That's the load that we are going to face, number one. Number two, the water. Each of these hyperscale data centers might consume around 2 crores liters of water. For how much time? Per day. That's around 3% of freshwater utilization of complete Hyderabad. So that's what we're talking about when we say an extraordinary utilization of resources or electricity, the total energy per se that's there in India. Now, when this kind of an electricity is being used, the general expectation, say data centers are also classified as industry, we all pay electricity price at say rupees 9 per unit. But when it comes to your industry, the price is around rupees 3.5 per unit. Say the data centers are also going to use the same price range, that is rupees 3.5 per unit. This extra 5.5 rupees per unit, who is going to pay for that subsidy? It's us. So we, the people, are subsidizing these hyperscale data centers. It is we, the people, who are giving our fresh water to these data centers. And the land, just say for this example in Telangana, when Telangana was involved, rather amalgamated into the Indian state, which is your Hyderabad state, a combination of around 20 districts of combining Telangana, Gulbarga area of Karnataka, Vidarbha area of Maharashtra. When all these things were put together, was the erstwhile Hyderabad state, which got mixed into your Indian state. The Nizam at the time used to have something called as Sarfe-e-Khas. Sarfe-e-Khas is around 10% of that Hyderabad state's land is under Nizam for his daily expenses. And nobody else owned that. Now, once independence has come, this land never went back to the farmers. It is on this land, the free land, that your industrial infrastructure corporations have given land free of cost to many such industries. And it is the same place where these data centers are coming up. Land is also given to them without any cost. Your land, our land rather, our electricity, our water, and the chips we know, the moral behind it. So this is what we are going to see as data centers. 25 years back, when an IT industry just started booming around this neighborhood, the similar kind of questions came up. At the time, there was only one answer to all of that. Okay, this might give us some jobs. But this time, one such $3 billion investment in Telangana is going to give you 180 jobs. This building produces 10 times more jobs than that $3 billion investment. So there is the balance of equation, we don't really see what we are giving them, what we're going to get back. So that's where the infrastructure of data centers is extremely important for us to bring to the public dialogue and understand and take this forward. So those were my points which I wanted to put forward. Sorry.
Thank you. So I actually want to ask you one more question, but not immediately. I want to have the panel finish one round of this, and I want to come back to you asking probably after the activity. As you're saying how this infrastructure of collecting raw materials and all this are involved, and you're talking about Congo, definitely the world, and we all know what is happening in the southern part of the world, be it South America, be it Africa, be it Sudan, be it Venezuela, be it any other places where there is huge amounts of lithium and other rare earth metals that are really needed for this manufacturing of chips and EV electrical batteries. So I want you to comment on these tariff wars that we are seeing are specifically being done for this infrastructure needs. But I'll come back to you on that. So taking from where you have concluded, especially on the labor part, on the human and the employment part, I'll ask Roshna. So as Siddharth is talking about how infra has contributed and subsidized for these data centers to be present or being brought into the country. So it is not, this question is not about what is the concern that we people in Hyderabad are here need to be worried about. This is basically a global scenario that we are seeing, that most of us here, most of you here, engineering students are actually thinking about how is our employment situation is going to be there once we step out. And a lot of people, if anyone is working in IT or on AI specifically as their profession, they're already seeing this being of overburdened or this long work hours. So I want you're someone who is close with people on the ground, and you're someone who reads these stories, writes these stories, and tell these stories. We want to know from you, how are you seeing this entire space of employment is changing around this AI? Yeah, Siddharth, can you pass?
Yeah, so if you're talking about the, am I audible? Sorry, I'm just recovering from a cold. So aside from the concerns Siddhartha has just mentioned about land extraction and resource extraction, I think one of the main concerns we immediately go to when we are talking about AI, how it has, in a breathtaking speed at which it has become a norm in our personal or political or professional lives, the main concern would be unemployment. So we are seeing reports about how a lot of entry-level jobs are now not there at all for the Gen Z or late millennials who are just starting their careers. Entry-level jobs in a lot of industries are not there. So these kind of anxieties, we are talking about it, the stories keep appearing. What I see, what AI is doing to job sector, especially in the knowledge economy, are mainly two things. One would be that it is replacing the middle level positions in a lot of industries. For example, database administrators, IT specialists, content creators, data analysts, data engineers, a lot of these kind of jobs. The middle level, what the CEOs want is the firms to look like an hourglass, where the top people are there and the bottom people are also there, but the middle will be like an hourglass where they are all replaced by AI. That is one. And second would be that it creates another set of jobs, which is to maintain this AI. Data labeling, content curation, a lot of these jobs that suddenly emerges because AI is now taking care of a lot of other jobs. And these newly created jobs are usually called unskilled. They are mostly outsourced. They are mostly underpaid. Now, I know that I said AI is replacing the jobs. It would be so easy to just blame AI and say that there is nothing we can do. AI is taking our jobs. It's a technology that has come. There is nothing we can do. We just have to deal with it. But I am wondering if our workplaces were actually so amazing before AI came. What I am thinking is, what my friends have told me, anyone who's worked in an office, informal or formal sector, every team was always understaffed. We were always pitted against our colleague to show who is willing to do more work, who is going to show up on the weekends and do more work, who is willing to compromise work-life balance. Anybody who talks about teaming up with your colleagues and demanding for better working conditions, they are villains. So I don't think before AI came, workplaces were such a heavenly place to work. So I, so these exploitative systems, which were already in place, who wanted to hire as less people as possible with as little salaries as possible, were already there. And it is into this scenario that AI comes. AI is the flashy new tool the employers or the CEOs can use to fire more people and hire less people. It is a laborer they can hire as if it's a person. Hire without having to provide food, which doesn't need rest, which doesn't need maternity leaves, which doesn't need Diwali bonus, which doesn't need insurance. None of these things are necessary. And the number of people who will be hired into these roles are again reduced. And who are the people who will be hired into this very less number of jobs? The queer people, the women, whoever is already from an underprivileged community will be pushed back. They will not be like chosen from this large amount of people deprived of jobs. So in the current political climate also, I want to make the point that it is not the immigrants, it is not the queer folk, it's not the women taking away the jobs. It is the people who are employing. They want to employ less people, make more profit, pay less salaries. So that is one. So since we are talking about labor, another kind of labor, so this is something we always talk about. Another kind of labor we usually overlook is the labor that goes into the making and maintenance of these systems. For example, generational labor of data is the data we are all providing to these systems. We have not given the consent for AI or any of these systems to use our data. And the data we have given, we are not compensated for it either. There are people during content labeling who are maintaining this system who are undervalued, underpaid, overworked. That is another kind of labor that is overlooked. Now, this is a general issue we look at, and then I want to come down to specific two instances where AI is used and the moral ethical problem with it. So recently I saw news that companies are now looking into hiring AI as a therapist for their employees. So I know that a lot of companies do provide, in the salary, along with the salary or something like that, to get professional help for mental health issues and therapy and all that. Now they are looking to do that with AI. I also saw the other day in Hindu newspaper that there was an interview of an educational institution person who wanted to, again, hire AI as a therapist for the students because students are depressed. Now, my doubt here is that, so the employee goes to AI, say that I am depressed or I'm having a lot of mental health issues. Will this AI, which is funded by this company or the educational institution, will ever tell the employee that your workplace is what is killing you? You are overworked, your workplace is toxic, you need to team up together and ask for better working hours, ask for better working conditions, don't show up at office on weekends. Is that AI ever going to say that? All this AI will give the students or the employees are solutions about how to cope up better. Be a better performing employee despite your mental health issues, not how to solve it. So whoever is funding and is sponsoring the AI is loyal to that. The agenda the AI will further perpetuate is of the people who is profiting from it, not the person they're supposed to provide therapy to. That is one. And the last thing you asked about human intelligence. So I don't think I can make a comment about whether AI is going to become equal to human intelligence or which is artificial general intelligence, AGI, or artificial super intelligence, where it's better than even humans. I don't know if that is going to happen or not. I cannot make in my capacity that prediction, but tech bros definitely love to fearmonger that AI is going to be a big threat. Sam Altman or Elon Musk, one of them recently said that AI has to be viewed as one of an existential threat to humanity on par with pandemic or nuclear threat. So there is always this fear-mongering about AI. even from the people who are making it, because fear mongering is also one kind of promotion. It is also a way to show that, oh, this is going to be a booming economy, a big thing that we need to put more money and like evolve, and CEOs can hire it instead of your workers. So that regarding that topic, I think what we need to concern ourselves is not about whether it will be equal to human intelligence, regardless of whether it becomes equal to human intelligence or regardless of whether it becomes better than human intelligence. The question is whether our system values human intelligence no matter what is coming better or equal to it. Human intelligence, right now what AI or ChatGPT, as we regularly use, does is, it's a large language model. It has a lot of data fed into it. It will predict from the data it has the answer we are asking. Human intelligence is not just looking and learning the pattern and recreating or giving something fresher, mixing up the words it already has. Human intelligence is not just cognitive, it is emotional intelligence, it's social intelligence. It is a product of collective living. And it is also, as much as human intelligence is about creating something, it is also about disrupting the patterns. If it is harmful, if it doesn't help us evolve better. Human intelligence is what will question it, what will disrupt it, and what will remake it into something better. So
I'll come back to you. This is a long, convoy about especially labor and what, but I want to come back to you on the points that you have mentioned about fear mongering has absolutely or definitely been the trend from the last post-pandemic, showing that as an example. But I have, as you're saying, did these people have any alternatives to this, and are these alternatives, something that are sustainable and will keep us survive in this system? This is something that I'm asking from your input. I'll once the activity is done, we'll come back to that, or you or Siddharth, one of you can give an idea on that. So now I'll move to Gaya. So this is your field, and you're already been seeing in your research or the places that are talking about AI governance and ethics of this AI. From what Siddharth and from what especially Roshna is talking about, this specific how this ethics are framed around this AI. Now, the news, the 1 week back, is the EU passing a specific regulations of AI, and we don't know, or the people are hardly aware of what these ethics are. How does it concern to them? We are not using AI. Do I need to be worried? So these are the questions that we generally have, and we think that the people who are in the tech sector or the software engineers or the students are the ones who need to be worried about this. Is it exactly true that this is the group that need to be only worried about, or how it is? Because from the input Siddharth and Roshna give, it doesn't seem that only the engineers are going to be someone who is be affected. And I want you to explain to us, when these sectors that both they are talking about is highly monopolized, are in control of a specific group of people or organizations on something. In this scenario, how do we see this AI ethics when these are being introduced? Whose favor these generally turn into? And we definitely want to hear from you from the point where you are working on also. Yeah.
Am I audible? Yes. So yeah, I wrote something because I have a tendency to just like wander around and reflect from the point. But since you put it like that,
I'll be there. Don't worry. I'll control you.
Yeah. So now to start addressing, so you were asking like basically like what are the implications of AI ethically going to be generally to us, to public, not specifically to the students or the potential workers or owners of these businesses. So this is the question of responsibility and accountability, along with the question of rights or potential moral implications. So the question of governance, it is also a question of governance. So how it becomes a question of governance is that governance has like two aspects or two major reasons for which governance is very important. One is the fact that the governing body get to take decisions. It's a decision-making body. They have the decision-making capacities. And the other one would be that they are the accountable body. So the decision to have a governing body is to have someone in charge of setting the rules for the working of a system. It is also to have a body that is accountable for the good, bad, or ugly that comes out of the system. So in a normal human context, we generally, the ownership is a marker of this governance. So suppose like I own a gun, and now to own a gun is to it means that to have the ownership is it means that I get to set the rules in which that gun would work, who uses it to what end. So that is the part of decision-making part of this governance. And the other aspect would be of the accountability. So now no matter who uses the gun, if the gun was used to shoot someone, I would be held accountable irrespective of whether I actually shot the bullet or not. So now, this is strictly in the human context without the involvement or interaction with an AI entity. But let's consider what it would be in a human-AI interaction in the context of that. So, so my fellow panelists have shown like how these a lot of corporate bodies have the ownership of material infrastructural resources and the labor resource. So Siddharth mentioned like how these corporate bodies have the infrastructural resources in their control, or they somehow own these resources. And Roshna was talking about how the labor force is practically owned by these corporate bodies. So now how do they own this? Like as Siddharth said, the infrastructural and material resources are owned by these systems, these corporate bodies by, it is practically given to them by, sort of subsidizing a free, easy, subsidized access to the natural resources. And the labor force is sort of, the labor resources are owned by these systems by basically like data mining, like non-consensual data mining is how they own this labor resources. Now, one thing to be remembered here is that none of these are to be owned by anyone. These are public resources. It's not to be owned by a person or a body corporate in any sense of the term. So now, we started this. I started by talking about how the ownership or governance has two aspects. One is the decision-making capacity, the power to set rules in the functioning of the system. So now with these two, they both my fellow panelists basically have established how these corporate bodies have this decision-making power by owning the resources and the capacity and control to set the end to which these resources are used by whom, in what sense, where do we get the resources, in what amount, capacity, all that. So now the other aspect is that of responsibility or accountability. Now to, how do we understand this aspect of accountability now? So basically to have to be accountable for something is to be answerable for the actions, So now when, now when we are talking about who's accountable for the actions of an AI system or a system that is governed by or like that is built around the AI, that could be, that has actually like a large implication. Like the issue could start from, it could be the job losses, or it could be the exploitation of natural resources. It could be of a whole different nature also, something like an on-site event of a accident caused by a self-driving car. So how do we understand who is accountable for something? Any of these actions that are collateral effect of this AI being introduced to a society. So the first step would be to identify the action. And in doing that, so I think we can go back to the example that Roshna used about this AI therapist that is being introduced to office spaces and to educational institutions. So now, suppose I am an employee who is struggling with some mental health issue, I am stressed, I'm anxious. For some reason, I go to this AI therapist, and as she pointed out, like the AI system is not going to tell me that even if these issues that I'm facing are caused by probably the fact that I am overworked, I am not getting enough sleep, the work pressure is causing this trouble in me. The AI system is not going to tell me that these are the reasons why I'm struggling. It is probably going to give me a solution, making sure that the company still get the same amount of labor that it used to get from me. So it's going to probably give me a solution to how to be more efficient. And I don't know, something like this positivity armies are like a thing now. So something like that. Anyway, it's not going to, trouble the flow of labor that the company was getting out of me before that. So now what if this becomes like, this causes like a very serious damage in the future, mental or physical? Who do we, hold accountable here? It somehow does not make sense to sort of say that, oh, it's because of this AI system that I am struggling. It definitely does not make sense to put that system behind the bars. So there is a little dissonance there. So how do we, so if the action is leading me or causing me a mental physical harm here, who caused that action? So one could say that these autonomous systems, so that's another dangerous part in confusing autonomy with automation. These systems, they lack intention. They lack the capacity to cause an original end. The purpose and end for these systems are given. Even with these neural networks and black box issues going on, we probably don't know like how exactly the system came to the solution, but there are certain solutions that system has asked not to get to. So that's why probably the AI system wouldn't tell me that, okay, you are overworked. So now, who set these ends for the system? The problem with identifying an action as only caused by the system and stop the inquiry there is that we never get to the human agent who set the rules for the system, who set the limitations or the tone for the system, who gave the purpose and end for the system. Now, the idea is to identify the human in the loop and take it to you will trace it back to trace an action back to the human agency that initiated this problem. Now, why is that necessary and important? Because the whole point of identifying the responsible party is that we can start to fix it. To identify a point from where the problem, we should start fixing the problem. And who has the power to fix the problem? The party who has access to, who has all these resources, who owns the resources, who owns the material resources, who owns the labor resources. And we saw earlier that these body corporates they do have the ownership over these factors. And the question should be, the focus should be to trace it back to the one or more than a person or a body of or a group of people whose agency initiated this problem, rather than identifying the machine as an immediate antecedent to this problem and say that, okay, it's the machine's, it's a malfunction of the machine, or there are many languages, depends on the specific issue. So now the question is like, how do we trace it back to them? To trace it back to these humans in the loop, what do we need? We need a full access or a transparency in this functioning of the system, not just the AI system. When I say I'm talking here, I'm talking about the whole system where the AI system is a part, but also the engineer who wrote the code, or the data scientist who chose the data or trained the system, or a corporate body that approved of the design and the data set, and a government who approved of this and then sort of opened a market for these, these systems. So to sort of have, to have that access, the idea I think is to understand or to identify what are the changes that we need to make to reimagine the system so that the system is more transparent, more accessible, as to that it helps us to trace an action back to its human agents.